Welcome everybody to another episode of Blender Every Day. Blender today is gonna be a mix of Blender today and every day, because the today aspect is to go through what's new in Blender, what changed during the last week. But the Blender Every Day is like a closer look, you know, getting to talk with either the artists, like the Grease Pencil team we talked yesterday, but also developers, right? So today I had a big honor and a first to show here. So one is not a first; it's actually a second. So this one, you already know him. It's Dalai Valento. Hola, Dalai.
Hey, Pablo. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here.
Nice to be here. So I invited Dalai because, well, he's also a regular on the show, but also because today we are moving into Beacon. 2 days ago, actually, we switched into Beacon 2, right? So yesterday, Beacon 2 means it's a different stage of the Blender release. That
it was on Wednesday, actually.
Wednesday, 2 days ago. Yeah, the 18th. I was
because
checking.
we tried to move all the big dates to Wednesdays.
To Wednesdays.
It's easier to handle than Thursdays.
Okay, so that was 18 actually. Yes, you can see it in the schedule here that it was 18 Beacon 2 to improve and stabilize, and it's not accepting new big features, just polishing what it was already there, right?
So, and from this moment to early April, the focus is on to polish what's already into Blender. Yes. And then you can start thinking what comes next to the 2.90 release, but that's for April.
And in April 9th, so in like a couple weeks, we should move into Beacon 3, and that is the beta, is it?
Yes, it's the official, when we start creating a branch for Blender, and the daily builds start offering 2 sets of Blender, the 2.83 beta, and then the alpha for 2.90.
The alpha for...
We're going to start inviting more people to test.
Yeah. To test. And to test what? To test the new features, which in the release notes, we can already see some of them. So yesterday, we talked about the Grease Pencil team. We invited the Grease Pencil people over. And what is the second item on the list? Here is volume object. And for this, what is it? What is it? Let's learn what it is by having a person that actually made it, that worked on it. So it's my honor to have here for the first time Brecht van Lommel to join the Blender today. Hello, Brecht.
Hey, Pablo. Hi, Dalai.
Hey, Brecht.
If you don't know Brecht, you're missing out. He's been around Blender for ages, from like UV editor and algorithms to like Yes. How, you know, when did you join the Blender development? I remember that you were like super young, like 17, 18.
Yeah, it was 2001. I guess I was 16, 17 somewhere. Yeah.
Wow. And yeah, so you implemented the LSCM, the UV.
Yeah, the UV unwrapping. That's one of the first things I worked on. Yeah.
And then a few other things, and then you kind of made the new renderer in Blender, Cycles. You came up after a brief holidays, a brief break with Cycles. That he made Cycles, guys. It's like it's in like let's thank you for bringing that.
That's when you added the applause.
Exactly. Yes. So here there is applause in the background if you can't hear it. So the reason you are here today, well, besides it's nice to chat, and is that there is a new object type in Blender. You shift A at a new object. What kind of object is this? It is like the first one in many, I think I heard, but it is the volume object. What is it? What?
Well, so basically it's for things like, clouds and smoke and fire, and anything that sort of has like a fuzzy shape, which is not like a hard shape, hard surface like a mesh, but something that's sort of more fuzzy, a type of gas or a type of something in that sense. And so we've already had this for a long time with the smoke simulation, but it was always something that was tacked onto a mesh object and not like its own thing. So now we have an actual volume object that's its own thing, and that we can start through building on and making more powerful.
It means that it's not like a hack anymore that you have to add a cube and then it becomes a volume by the shader, but it's an actual volume shader. So it means that being its own object type, it means that it can have like its own modifiers maybe?
Yeah, so there at the moment there are no modifiers yet, but like the infrastructure is there to make, to add modifiers. So then you can have like a modifier to turn a mesh into a volume, or to displace a volume, or to apply like a fluid simulation to a volume. So, it will be a lot more powerful in future releases. At the moment, basically what you can do is import an OpenVDB file, which you might have generated in another application or with Blender's fluid simulation.
So it doesn't need to be Blender. You can bring it from Blendini, from Houdini or from other softwares like.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely animation studios that have been asking, like they're doing their simulation in Houdini and then they want to render in Blender. So being able to load, those simulations makes a lot of sense. If you do it alongside like USD or Alembic, you want to have meshes, but you also want to have volumes that you can import.
Amazing. So this is already in master. People can already try it. Is it? So what do you expect this to? Do you expect any changes from now until the 2.83 is released, or it's in current state is already fine and just bug fixing?
Well, we're not quite sure how much. We're still going to improve it, but there's a few things that we really like to do mainly in terms of like rendering performance and cycles, and there's also some usability things related to selection, all kinds of sort of minor things, just make it a little bit more user friendly. Yeah.
Wow. Well, more user friendly. That Shift A volume, that's already pretty user friendly. It's amazing. Yeah. So what other uses besides like smoke there is? Like fluids, could you do any kind of?
So I mean, at the moment it's just
anything,
rendering like anything that's sort of
points
or smoke or fire or explosions or any sort of anything. Sort of that sort of fuzzy kind of object. That's sort of a gas-like object.
Could you fare with this? Is that a volume? Could be.
You could try, but probably is not the best.
Not the best. Well, the scattering might look pretty good. Also, well,
the thing is, it gets more interesting when you get modifiers, because then you can go from a mesh to a volume and back to a mesh, or from points to a volume and to a mesh, or you can sort of break. If you turn a volume into a mesh into a volume, you can do all kinds of operations which are really hard to do
on a regular mesh,
which are really easy on a volume. Like booleans are trivial on a volume, but they're really hard on a mesh.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like you can like wrap the shape in certain ways that you can easily do with a mesh. So we'll see what people come up with once we have modifiers. But this is
awesome.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Yeah, it's a lot of uses that I wasn't even thinking about. That booleans you can like. Wow. So OpenVDB is actually putting to use lately with Mantaflow and with the volume objects.
Brecht, I have a question.
Yes.
Maybe it'd be nice to show, because you created a dev talk thread for people to give feedback.
Yes.
How is it going? Are people actually testing it? Are people giving already valuable feedback? Let me adjust my camera here.
Yeah, we got some feedback. I mean, it's sort of things that we kind of anticipated, because we have a task and we sort of already have like a list of 10 items or something that we know this isn't quite where it needs to be. But it's useful to know like what's the most important thing that people are missing. I might think like, oh, we were missing this thing, but maybe no one cares, or maybe I think something is less important, but then like 5 users tell me like, we really need this right now. So it's really just to get a sense of like what we should prioritize, or what
Yeah, what's the real life use that people want at the moment. Amazing. Well, so do you need more feedback? Is it okay with us? Do you want to make a call for feedback or?
Definitely. I mean, we can as much feedback as we can get. Like it's, yeah.
Amazing, cool. So, what is your just as a more personal in Blender related stuff? What is your next project? This is something that you were looking forward to, or just happened out of nowhere? Do you want to work again in the rendering side? Was it fun? Go back to render stuff.
It's interesting. I mean, so my next project. I mean, I like working, finishing the volume object. It's still like only halfway done in a way, right? I mean, there's all this stuff we can improve. So I'm not really jumping immediately to the next project, I think. But also, my other main focus is working on cycles. So there's lots of cycle stuff that that I want to work on. So probably like volumes and cycles is the main stuff I will work on for the for the rest of the year, at least in terms of projects that are like my personal things that I work on.
Yeah. What do you mean by volume volume and cycles, not volume in cycles?
Yeah, I like
both. In and in or
exactly, yeah.
And or because you also in the project new object types. It wasn't just volume, right? There were also other object types.
Yeah. So the other two object types, well, I added like a really basic thing, which you don't even see when you get a regular Blender build, which are a point cloud object and a hair object. And so the purpose of that is for the point cloud object will become important for the new particle nodes, where your particles is, they would be just a bunch of a point cloud object with a bunch of points instead of a mesh. Instead of being attached to a mesh, just because it's not quite ideal to have all these different objects type attached to a mesh. The way that a volume was attached to a mesh in a weird way, particles are kind of attached to a mesh in a weird way. And for the new particle node, we want to have it, have a known object type with points that can have, points that can have a color and a velocity and all these properties which you want for a particle system. And then the other object,
hair.
Yeah, and then the other object type is hair, which is for the new hair system that we also want to add.
New hair system is the one that who's working on it? Is a kind of particle related?
So Sebastian, who's doing MantaFlow, is currently the one who will most likely work on it, on the new hair system. So the thing is, like, currently, parts is sort of one, like the hair is kind of particles traced over time and made into like a hair shape, which is kind of interesting, but also a bit strange and really not ideal. So basically, when we do new particle nodes, we also need a solution for the hair, and so we're making a particle system and a hair system, which are now like separate things. So yeah.
Awesome. So thank you for that input. So people are asking, since you already worked on the UV side of things many years ago, do you think, and are you still the maintainer of that area, or?
Not really. I think it's more Campbell's
side of. Okay. Is there anything you wanna add? Because there is some other thing that was added recently that I could mention, that I could introduce. Do you want to hang out here in the chat? Is it okay? We have questions towards the end of the show, and there is I want to invite another guest, because making a live stream with two online guests is not hard enough. Let's try to make it harder with another one.
Yeah, I can stick around.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the other thing that was added here, that it's on the list of new things. User interface, maybe related to this. Physics modeling, sculpt cycles, EV, virtual reality, also known as VR. So this thing, oops, look at the face that just popped up in the screen. So look at the man.
Hola community.
Hola community, Julian Isel. Hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for.
Are we going to talk about VR or?
We are going to talk about VR.
About
Do you know something about this VR thingy? That
never
it's
heard of it. No, never.
Never heard of it? Well, I can talk to you about it. It's a
I thought
new.
we were going to talk about, I don't know, like interpolation types or masking or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right. No.
That?
Sculpt is all the rage. But
okay, let's talk about Sculpt.
No, I have this thingy. So if you are not up to date, so this Blender is a free software. It's a thingy, happens online. They are adding virtual reality to 2.83, the new version that is coming up in a couple months. They just came up with this. It looks like they did it overnight, but I don't think that's the case, is it?
Dalai, have you heard of this? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, indeed. There's a project I worked on during Google Summer of Code this summer. It was sort of a spontaneous idea because I wasn't involved with Blender development for a while. I actually started like working on Blender like I think 6 years ago as a developer. And during the second half of the 2.8 project, I took a bit of a break, and then I figured that Google Summer of Code would be a nice way to go back, and so
why not having a completely new device type connected to Blender? Just to start humble.
OpenXR was basically coming out, which is this new specification or this new standard for virtual reality and augmented reality, and so figured why not look into this? And turns out this was an interesting project, and everything turned out to work quite well.
So OpenXR is the library that is used for actually making this thing work. It's an open source.
It's much like OpenGL or Vulkan. It's the standard interface, basically. Exactly.
OpenXR by the same people that make OpenGL and OpenCL.
It is actually by the Kronos group, which is the same group that worked on these kind of specifications.
So it's open source and it's backed up by a kind of amazing people. So that was a choice, right? That was why using this.
Choice.
So
like previously we had limited choices for VR support, mostly because of licensing. Most solutions are proprietary, and which is of course incompatible with Blender's free and open source license. So this OpenXR thing came just to the right, or at the right time for me to jump on board again.
So is Blender one of the first to have it, I guess? Because it's being so new. I
actually think we are the first bigger project that has it, yeah.
To have what? OpenXR support?
Yeah.
Official OpenXR support?
I think some game engine was working on support, and they might have it soon, but they didn't release it yet, I think.
So this is the first milestone. It means that it's like the basics, right? Like the first step.
Exactly.
What is there and what is not? What can you do in VR right now in Blender?
Exactly. So this is the first milestone, which we call scene inspection, which basically means you can go into the virtual world and experience things and look at things, work around this in the scene. But it's not like fully fledged VR support yet. It is being slowly built up with different milestones that should be upcoming. So this doesn't support like controllers or so.
So it's mainly for like scene inspection. Like you can look around.
Exactly.
You can get your headset. You look around.
Exactly. I really wanted to focus on like making this work well and having decent performance, so we have a good, strong baseline to sort of build up upon.
Awesome. So what if people always ask, the first thing is like, so which headsets are supported? And that is really not up to Blender, but up to OpenXR library, really.
Well, it is up to those people who make HMD device or who make HMD drivers and software.
To the companies.
They actually have to support the OpenXR specification.
Even better.
For example, Steam VR is currently not supported. So it's like the Vive, HTC Vive is not supported. The Index won't be supported for now.
Yeah.
Unless Steam, or unless there's support for OpenXR within Steam VR.
Okay. So
what's supported currently is the Windows Mixed Reality platform and the Oculus platform. Those are basically supported.
We need our logo here.
Thereby, I should add that Oculus isn't officially production supported yet, or they don't have a production release.
But they're working on it, or
about to come up. They just released the prototype version of it.
That's awesome. I really like the fact that it's not so much about Blender itself supporting it, but more about the like if you really want support for your headset, you should contact the company and ask them to like, hey, support open source drivers, please.
Exactly.
Yeah, but word in the streets that Vive is working towards supporting this, right? They just because we
word on the streets, you hear my
yeah, we hear from partners like that produce different devices that hey, we have this working with Vive and OpenXR. Like, okay, but how if Vive hasn't been officially supporting it? We are considering doing GTC, which is the game development conference. In fact, I have a talk with Vive. Tom had a meeting with them, but you know,
it was cancelled. Yeah,
GTC was cancelled, so we need to figure out how to get hold of them now.
So we need to make a conference here, get the people coming over. Now I hope that this will work out. It's just awesome. So what are your plans, Julian, for VR so far? Do you for now until 2.83, the current state is it's just how it's gonna shape, and it's just back fixing from now. I know it already worked with Eevee, Workbench, right? And Cycles, yeah, exactly. Or not Cycles?
Well, Cycles, I disabled support for Cycles for now because that's not going to work well anyway, so yeah.
Oh, I know a guy that...
Workbench and Eevee work fine.
Eevee works fine.
Yeah, but... So the current state is we have those features now and things should be stable and should be working well, and then I'm going to do like a few little more improvements, but mostly it should be feature complete. Of course, bug fixes are going to come, although I don't have any reports currently about it, so doesn't look too. Either people are not using it.
Maybe they didn't
Maybe
even
they
know.
are using it after the stream. Yeah, exactly.
This is the first Blender Today where I mentioned that this actually exists. It's not that people get the news from here, but yeah.
I'm sort of keeping the hype low because, of course, it's awesome. It's like a really important milestone, and it's sort of the hardest part is done now.
Yeah. People maybe
they
expect like a quill.
Exactly, and that is still to come. So
yeah, dreams, inside of a exactly. Okay, mate, it's not there yet. It's coming. It's coming. What is there? So for 2.80, well, no, there is no more 2.80 releases. For 2.9, do you have any? In the roadmap, any feature that you would like to continue add to this, or are you jumping into another project? What's your personal schedule?
2.9, you said.
Yeah, because that is the next release, 2.83 is the next, and then.
With this first milestone done for VR, I'm gonna sort of fade away from the VR project now.
Fade away.
The idea is, I'm just gonna fade away slowly, because the idea is to sort of give this to contributors or other people, other groups in the community who want this VR support and can actually contribute back. So one option is to have another Google Summer of Code to continue work on this. The other option is to work together with people like the MPX guys who you had in the stream yesterday.
Yeah.
We are also in contact with Ubisoft and other people, and there's interest from other people to help us to work on the milestone 2 now. And we're going to figure that out over the next weeks, I guess. And then I'm going to move back to the general user interface work, which is what I'm usually focusing on. And then the first topic that I'm going to work on is library overrides. There are a few things to be done there, especially UI-wise.
Library like UI for the library override stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. There are certainly things that need to be improved or fixed. To make library overrides really usable. And then there's another little project coming up, which is the asset manager, which is in my opinion, one of the most important projects for Blender, and
it is.
This sort of got assigned to me, and I'm happy to work on this. And it's going to be a big, challenging project. It's sort of the first 2 milestones. Also, we are using this approach of defining specific milestones for projects now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to work on next.
Wow, that is a busy schedule. Asset manager, because people that are not aware, he is a developer from the Blender user interface team, module owner of the user interface even. So it's kind of going all over the place, from asset management to VR. Well, VR was a bit out of the way from that. It was more on the implementation side. But as you said, this is a great starting point for people that actually want to use the tools, like you mentioned, the MPX project led by Daniel Martinez Lara, as a proof of concept of what could be to use the VR with the actual tools. So what you implemented is the driver side. So it's the hard part, like this experiment that Daniel made with other developers, was as a proof of concept that only worked in like one setup, and it was Python, so it wasn't really great, and it wasn't like the performance wasn't the greatest. So what you did, actually, you took a lot of work from their shoulders for people to make tools with the system that VR provides.
Exactly, and I'm really happy about the idea. I think it's a good idea to give it to them, because they are more creative than I am. They really know their workflows. They know what they need. They're going to do cool stuff with it, or not just the MPX guys, but in general, other groups of people who have been working more on VR, and
yeah, last year
there was a stronger artist background.
Last year there was a presentation right at the conference. Awesome. So okay, so busy schedule. We can see more of the asset manager even in the future, implementing some of the first milestone that was sent for the basic asset manager, which we talked about in the blog post that was published recently in the code.blender.org blog.
Yes.
So basically this. What is an asset? What a question. All right. So thank you very much. I appreciate. Do you want to keep hanging out? I'm going to talk with I'm going to go through the questions of the week. And if you want to just chill.
I can stay here for a little bit longer. That's fine.
Sure. Okay, cool. Because we have Brecht and we also have Dalai hanging out here. So, it's a cool gang.
Wow.
I feel
what
so.
A team. What a good company to be in.
Feel so. Yeah, exactly. What a nice job we have. By the way,
you sound very sarcastic, Julian.
Well, I am totally sarcastic, of course.
All right, so let's go to the questions. So I'm going to just start from the top as always. These questions are published by the community on blender.community website on the Blender Today community. It's like a subreddit, but it's a community. So the first question, it's about Pablo Navarro, which, by the way, actually, he's going to be our next guest on Monday. So it's a nice announcement. Monday, 5 p.m. Well, at the same time, I'm going to have Pablo here. So maybe we can save this one from here. What is it? Is it planning to add a panel menu for face sets like vertex groups? No, actually, we already talked about this, remember, about the face sets implementation, user interface side of things. Julian, you remember that? I don't know, or with Brecht, we were all together basically, and the question was like face sets. Is that a thing that you want to keep track of, like a vertex group that you can quickly make and remove? No, because it should be something that you it's a disposable tool. You quickly make an area, you use it, you delete it, and you come back and forth. So that's why it's not also because vertex groups vertices can belong to many groups, and in face sets they can't. They are just by design, they are only one face belongs to one face set. Next, well, we can ask him. We can ask Paulo in the next episode. Hello, Paulo. How's the asset manager going? Is it coming to 2.83? No, 2.83 doesn't get any new feature. Well, I mean, any more new features than the pile. The list of features is huge. Virtual reality, EV cycles, sculpt, face sets, grease pencil, refactor, volume object, physics, all the improvements in hair simulation, cloud simulation, and fluid. So I think 2.83 has already quite some stuff in it. So new object tool. Is this tool being developed? What is this? It's a task that starts in 57,000, so it's probably very old. Object tool. Add a queue.
I think I know what it is. It's when you add parametric objects.
Yeah.
And you can still change their dimensions down the line. So we have a cube, and you set the number of subdivisions at any point in its lifetime.
Yeah. And this feature was made, the add queue was made by Campbell. And it was a proof of concept, so for other people can implement new tools, right?
Yeah, I think he wanted to work a little bit on this further. The idea is that he'll be working in 1 to 2 tools every release cycle, at least every now and then, like on the side with regular development. So I don't remember if that's the tool he was prioritizing. I don't think so, but it's still on his radar for sure.
I hope. It gets a lot of attention from here. And the gizmos, and he already has a design. So it's one of those either easy to grab because the design is already set. Usually developers want things as clear as possible, so there's not so much back and forth. Next question. Hi, Pablo. And et al. And everybody, when I rename an object in my language, Cyrillic, some letters don't appear. So far, only one letter. The letters appear as empty space.
Yes, we know that. It's none.
It's known.
Basically, we have some languages that have, I don't know about Cyrillic though, but Cyrillic is left to right. Huh.
No.
Brecht, do you know?
We have a bug fix coming up related to Cyrillic text, but I don't know if it solves this particular issue. But there's like a known bug for which we have a solution, and it'll land like in. But yeah, I cannot say about like.
But it's there is a bug report already, so it's being looked at.
I think it might be the same thing, but I'm not sure.
Next question: how's the destructive extrude going? I saw it on the developer side a few months ago, and I'm a bit sad it wasn't finished. Didn't make it to the final release. It's also the third most wanted feature on right-click select. Destructive extrude. It's extrude that was basically just removes when you extrude back. It basically removes part of the here. There is a demo. So you see, you can extrude back, and it removes part of the geometry. Super nice, super nice.
Like any good Anygon's software.
Exactly. Yes, and you can see people are very supportive of it, and it's a patch. It's already a patch. And what is the discussion? So basically, there was some UI discussion, and what happened? Do you know? Any of you guys know?
I think it's just a matter of time for the modeling, module owners to have a look at it, and
for Campbell, yes.
There's sort of a backlog of patches that we need to go through and check the quality and check all the details, but there's nothing fundamentally stopping this thing. It's just just like one thing on the list that we need to get through.
That we need to get one of the many.
Do you know how many patches we have, Pablo?
5.
1,000.
1,000 patches.
1,000 patches. Of them, like 300 something, 350 are recent enough, as in from last August.
Yeah.
But still, it's a lot of patches.
It is from July. So yeah. So yes, as you heard, because sometimes, I mean, it looks like it's working, but it has to fit with the design of the rest of Blender. Not design as in the UI. Also, that is one of the reasons. But the design of the code, right? Like the quality of the code has to match the rest of Blender. That is the main showstopper, and the developers have to get the patch, try it, see if it compiles, if maybe it's too old, and if the authors don't update it, then you have to go back. So it's a lot of back and forth, just to explain to people why.
And it just, as Brecht said, it's just a huge backlog. When I said from August, I meant that they have been updated since August. So this is still within these 300 something I mentioned.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next question is Evie. When screen space reflections are turned on, the ambient occlusion kind of stops working, and thus the object looks like it's glowing. When this happens in the eye material, it makes it unusable. Is it a missing feature or a bug?
Move the camera to Brecht. I have no idea.
You would have to ask Clement about this.
But you don't know if there is already a bug reported regarding screen space reflection plus ambient occlusion.
I can imagine some cases. I can imagine some reasons why it might be difficult to do screen space reflections and ambient occlusion, in the sense that you need not necessarily like ambient occlusion, but like a occlusion for like a specular BSDF thing, which is a bit different. But this is all quite technical, so I don't want to speculate too much, because Clement probably knows. Just report it, I guess. And then
we do have a report with SSR. It's like comparing cycles and EV. SSR is a screen space reflection, right?
Yeah.
And it had to do with how cycles handle when you're connecting the wrong things, and it handled a little bit different than EV.
Connecting the wrong thing, as in the fallback, you mean?
No, as if you connect like a color output into a normal input.
Yeah, the fallback basically. So when it doesn't work, it falls back to a default
and
shader.
They're falling back to different things. So some of the we already know some of those artifacts, and I think there's already a patch even. Might be the case again, as Brecht said, just a matter of reporting it.
Next question. Thank you. What are any plans for modeling future? I think the part of the parametric modeling was part of in the future, maybe with the Everything Nodes project, but no, that I know. I haven't seen any patch regarding modeling specific tools.
Well, performance for sure.
Performance, edit mode performance, you mean?
Edit mode performance is something that Campbell's work on. He updated his plans this week, so.
In future Blender, sorry.
Yeah, better booleans is also a big one, I think.
Yeah.
Worked on. By
Howard, right?
Yeah.
Next question is it's a suggestion that for future episodes I should go through some right-click select proposals and say whether we can expect them. That's a good reason for a next episode, maybe.
We should do it on April 1st because then you can promise a lot of things, and
that's not nice. Come on, many of those can be tackled by the community. Many of them are like the modifiers, sorting of modifiers, drag and drop. Those things have been forever, and people are aware. Or like when you import an file that it imports by format and not. Anyway,
just make for a nice April 1st episode.
Yes. So thanks a lot. Love the show. What about getting Ton Rosendahl? He was already on the show when the Epic Games was in. But yeah, it would be nice to get him in the future. Actually, he just posted. It's his birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Ton. I know you watch it every week, so it's a happy birthday. So if you you can go. Don't send him an email. Just go to he tweeted about the birthday, and look, he has Balloon Day, and you can go and say happy birthday here. Like already 1.5 thousand people gave it a like. So it's a nice thing gesture to do, and he's doing great. He actually posted about it. So or the mighty Pablo Barro. He's coming on the next episode on Monday. Which I don't know if it's gonna be the next episode, because I said every day. I don't know if that includes people expect the weekends. So I will find out. Next question is ray trace reflections in Eevee. When to expect it? Vulkan, I guess, right?
I mean, like RTX.
Ray trace reflections in Eevee.
We do have it's something related. Chronos just announced this open API for real-time reflection that's not tied to RTXs. Did you see that, Brecht, by the way?
Yeah.
So the new Vulkan.
The whole thing is very new, so it's we don't even have enough developers with this kind of hardware.
I mean, I think we do have the hardware. It's just we first need to port Blender to Vulkan, and then we can do the ray tracing. So
is that planned anytime 2020, 2021?
There's no specific date attached at the moment. Like I wouldn't expect it in 2020.
Okay.
because it's a longer project to change some core things in Blender. So
and it's not a one-time switch, is more like over time, right? And then maybe an experimental flag, and it can be tested, and then at some point make the switch, I guess.
We'll have to see what the best way of doing things is. Like, of course, if we switch to Vulkan, it means some older graphics cards stop working. So we might have OpenGL and Vulkan at the same time for a while, but we'll have to see how practical that is and so on. So, yeah.
Cool. Next question: will someone give a talk about Eevee like we saw on Cycles? Maybe we can get Jeroen to give he gave a presentation already. I don't know if Clement will feel like giving a presentation. We'll be awesome to have him on the live stream as well. Good health for everyone here. Yay. Is light linking planned for Blender after 2.83?
I mean,
light linking.
It's on the list of features we want to add. It's not like at the very top of the list. It's somewhere like in the middle of the list, I suppose. But so we would like to add it at some point, but it's not going to be 2.90 like it might be. We can't really give a date for it.
But it's in the roadmap.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. For people that don't know, light linking is like light groups in Blender internal, but for cycles. And light linking is the term that they use in the industry.
I'm so glad Brecht is here, because I'm always the one that have to dodge these with you, Pablo. So.
Right, next question. Can a student give his code to the Blender Foundation? I'm going to try to make a new sculpt tool, and I don't know if a code can be accepted like this. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a student or not, if the code is good enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you wrote the code, then you're free to, just give the permission for anyone to use it. Like, it's your code. You can give it to the Blender Foundation. You can use it yourself.
Yeah. So, like, submitting a patch is not that you're asked if you're a student or not.
No.
Awesome. So, you have the example here, Brecht in 16, 17 years old and was already blendering stuff. Next question. I love this daily Blender Today live stream. Thank you. I have this live stream stick around for a long time. At least in the weekly form. Yeah, of course, weekly for sure. Daily, we'll see how it goes. I do have a question. I'm a lonely Mac user. Very curious to hear any updates on Vulkan. This we already mentioned. But yeah, basically because Vulkan is kind of related. Vulkan support for Blender is kind of related of where the support for Mac OS is gonna go, right? Because of the Vulkan metal
support. Yeah.
Yes, Molten. Next question is greeting from Brazil. I've been wondering if it will be implemented soon as animation layers in Blender. Try to do something similar with the NLA, but it's a very slow process. Animation layers, I don't know. Is it that on the roadmap for Cbren?
I think we set for like 2020, we set out like 10 big projects to do, and like animation, like animation 2020 or animation, like major animation improvements are one of the things that we want to do, but it'll probably be more like 21, I think. So
yeah, we already talked many times here about the animation 2020, that it's like a collection of projects, not just the one thing, but it's a more like a collective.
So yeah, I mean,
improvements.
I think like bigger changes to the animation system will probably be more like once we have like the animation playback performance under control, and then we sort of will make sense to start a project to sort of add all kinds of functionality to it.
Yeah, and it's just super. I'm here on the blog post of the Blender big projects, the 10 big projects, and Multires is already in, and volume object type is already in. So it's nice that we're in March, and already some of these USD is already in, but only for export. It's
well,
good,
just a reminder that when you say that the Multires is already in, there's still one of the milestones is still pending, which is
the
support to sculpting the non-high level.
But that has to do with the undo.
Yes, it has to do with the undo. But it's in that sense, most of those projects, almost all of them, are already moving forward. I can even send a really nice link about the animation performance one, because Jeroen is working on profiling files.
Oh, even send it to me on Blender chat. Blender.chat is the place. Who needs Discord? All right, and then I can open it in a bit. So the next question, I'm not being able to post comments in the live chat during the stream. I don't remember what happened. Was there a shadow ban? Could be. I don't know the name. I can look after. There is a list of names that gets if you use certain words apparently.
But links, even I cannot send links. I was trying to send the blender.org jobs.
Oh no, you can't send any kind of links. But maybe if you can in the chat, I can. You need to become. We need to know how to do this internet thing. So what is this? This is a spring analysis for a faster animation playback.
Yeah. Did you see that, by the way, Brecht? Jeroen posted today.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said he's still preliminary. He still wants to do some more digging, but
very fresh.
Basically, Pablo, he went over different files for the open movies and tried to see what is the main problem with each of those files. But it's so hard to just work with performance. You need to really know that you're not chasing something that's going to be a red herring.
Yeah, exactly. So there are many ways that a file can be slow. The graphics card, so the actual polygons. You know, so people say that Blender can't handle many polygons, but maybe it's not the polygons. Maybe it's the dependency graph, the relations between the armature or the deformation, or maybe it's something completely different. So super nice that this is actually ongoing by Jeroen. Thank you, Jeroen. Super nice.
Just my way of saying that for some of those projects, we see already code and things are being merged because they have a more defined scope and they even started prior to the whole planning. But for a lot of the other ones, we try to first make sure the design is very clear and, like in this case, the analysis is very complete. Yeah. So then we know that the time is going to be well spent.
Yeah, and the files that he's using is the production files from Spring, so it's very, very high, very like massive. You see like lots of keyframes and objects and characters and fur and everything. Next question. I would like to know how the viewport compositing project is going.
Viewport compositing. Wow, I don't think. Well, we do have the passes in the viewport for EV and cycles and everything, but that's the current extent of it.
Okay. Next question. Nice to have the devs and Brecht as a guest. Maybe we can have the doctors in the house next time. Any news on getting edit mode back to its 2.7 level of performance?
Edit mode? Yeah, we want to get it actually way higher. 2.7 is actually not good enough. We are trying some possibilities, well, basically other software just to compare like performance.
Yeah.
And oh my god, like it pales. Blender in that way pales in comparison to specialized software. And so we're trying to aim higher than 2.7, I might say.
Yeah, especially with the subsurf modifier on, and that's also related to Open Subdiv, right?
Yeah, I mean it's one of the 10 projects, right, for 2020. I mean,
yeah,
it's being worked on as we speak. Like I was looking at the patch related to it yesterday. Like we're actively working on it.
Yes, so there is the faster editing, faster animation playback, and it was somewhere here is the faster editing. So the next it mentions here, modeling clouds as a mesh was impossible due to the lack of depth info. If the volume objects can be combined like primitives, preserving combined depth from surface info, that would be awesome.
That's for Brecht.
Volume objects can be combined. Can volume objects be combined?
Modeling cloud was impossible to lack of depth info.
Yeah,
what
like modeling cloud as a mesh.
I mean, okay, so modeling clouds is something that we want to become possible with the volume object, right? If you have a modifier that can turn a mesh into a volume, and then you can do displacement on that volume, or you can blur it, or you can do all kinds of operations on it, then you can do cloud modeling that way by just sort of modeling it with like a rough mesh shape and then doing all kinds of applying textures to it and all kinds of operations to make it look like a cloud. So that's definitely like one of the things we want to be able to do once we have modifiers.
Once we have modifiers, yay. Yeah. Next question, do you know if anyone has reported grease pencil crashing when attempting enter edit mode or sculpt mode? Not sure, but always report crashes. Crashes are great examples, but with a blend file, with a little blend file.
Yeah, always test with the daily build and go to builder.blender.org because in case the crash was already reported and fixed.
Always try with the latest. Always. It's part of the video that I made on this channel about how to report the bug. Next, are there any plans for widget to manipulate stencil maps in texture paint and sculpt modes? No, that I know, but it will be great. Stencil maps right now is all shortcuts like shift click, alt, right, and next question. Take extra care, everybody. Yes. I asked already, but I didn't get the clear developer's opinion. Could we have VDV based remesh code in the remesh modifier? That's already actually coded. It's a patch, right?
Yes and no. So we're currently reviewing that patch. And sort of going back and forth with the developer about the right design. But yeah, I mean, I think it's coming like in one form or another, but it's sort of being reviewed and worked on at the moment. So yeah.
Okay. Next question. I would like to know if it's possible in the settings to deactivate the leader key feature that appeared in 2.82 and the alt, using alt as a because I've set up my navigation viewport as in Maya, but the leader key is giving me some trouble. There is no option, as far as I know. Is more people have requested this?
What is the leader key?
Is that, you can press alt and then the tool shortcut and it will change to that. It's for changing tools. It's a new way of changing tools in Blender. For example, if you want to access the tool for scale, you can do alt, leave it, and then S, and then alt, release, and then whatever other, like R. So instead of pressing R, it's a quick way to switch between keys, but it can be can have some collision apparently with other tools. But no, there is no option currently. But if more people ask for it, maybe it's worth it. Next question is, I understand it's a selfish request, but many people are in my case. Coming from ZBrush, my sculpting workflow has been to doing really quick strokes and rapidly pressing the Alt key. In Blender, when the pen is down, you can't switch anymore with Control until you release the pen. I tend to mess myself with pressing Control too late. Would it be possible to have switch happening even during a stroke? Maybe a question for Campbell.
Maybe. I mean, it depends. Like, does it like change? Does it allow, or does it only flip anything going forward? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible, of course. But it's like I haven't heard this feature request yet. I would just like there's a sculpt mode feedback thread on DevTalk. Like, just put it there, and maybe Pablo reads it.
Ah, yes. It's in the DevTalk forums here, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole thread for feedback on sculpt mode, so I would.
In the forum user feedback in other topics here. Sculpt mode feedback here. Sculpt mode feedback in the 7 hours ago. So yeah, nice work on the volume option. Yeah, even there. All right, so and let's continue. So it's almost time. Let's do a couple more and then. Let's do 10 more questions and then we call it a day. Is it okay? You have time? Cool. You don't have to go to use the restroom or.
Let's get some questions to Julian.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going. So I updated the page and I went all the way to the bottom to start from the ones that were asked first. So Dennis asks about the amazing feature that allows to select the active bone and its corresponding vertex group when you're in weight paint mode. Is there a reason why this operation requires you to first select the armature in object mode and then the mesh? Yeah, because it needs to know, right, to which object is attached. because an armature can.
It could be. I mean, it could be made automatic, so you can do it even when you don't select the mesh. Like we could figure out which mesh it is that should probably be used. So it's a fair.
Yeah, because in 99% of the cases, an armature is only driving one object.
Exactly. Yeah.
Usually, in some cases, when one object has the same armature for like many objects have the same armature, then it can be weird.
Yeah.
But it's in most of cases no. Next question, number 9. Do you guys think it's gonna you're gonna implement multiple selection and groups for the UI list? So UI list is the list of materials or vertex groups or any kind of widget, and currently it's not possible to select multiple items. You can only select one at a time.
Julian, you are a UI developer.
Yes, we happen to have a UI developer.
What do you think about that?
Throwing the ball to me. I mean, there's technically probably no real reason why we couldn't do it. Usually what you need is one active item. There is not much need to select multiple ones. But I can see where there are cases where you would want to select multiple ones, and I guess that's fine. I do support.
There was a mock-up for the modifier list to become a UI list. And then selecting multiple modifiers will be nice.
Exactly, yeah, for those
just to see
cases.
them. But
yeah, it would be nice to support. I guess we could add that, but yeah, the kind of things where you just need some developer who spends an evening or two working on this.
Well, what is the status?
Sorry, not even in Julian. We work during day hours. And we don't overdo it.
Exactly.
Carry on, Pablo. Next.
Right now, actually.
Volunteer, that's what I mean.
Right now, usually it was tough times before. Now here, okay, next it's actually in the same question. So what is the status of Crazy Space? Crazy Space. What is Crazy Space?
The whole modifier Crazy Space.
The status of what?
Crazy
Space. Will it be implemented back anytime soon?
I wasn't aware it was missing. Like as far as I know, it's
still there
in the same way it was there in 2.79 or earlier versions. Like there's some ways in which it can be improved, but I'm not aware of it being missing. And if it's missing, I would consider it a bug.
So report if it's missing.
Yeah, but how do you report as hey, Crazy Space is missing?
Well, no, it's more like, you have an armature modifier and you try to move your vertex and it moves in the completely wrong direction. Like that would be
crazy. That would be a very crazy space.
It's not working. Yeah.
Okay, next question, number 8. How can Blender be auto-updated? Is it native in Blender or do I need a separate app? Do you need a separate app? Blender can be auto-updated via Steam, via Microsoft Store, and that's it. And via Snap, right?
Yes.
For Linux. So Snap for Linux, Steam for all platforms, with Microsoft Store for Windows. And there is an add-on, an official add-on that someone made for the Blender Updater, I think. It's on GitHub. Overmind Studios, yeah, Blender Updater. It's on GitHub, so it's open source, and you can. Some people use it here for updating Blender. I've seen people using it, and it seems to be pretty nice. If you can even get from the BuildBot, I think. And yeah. Next. Hi Pablo, why don't you remove the comment window at the start of Blender? Makes Blender look unprofessional. Or like when you open a crack or something similar. Hey, if you open cracks, somebody else is being unprofessional. The command window at the beginning is super useful. I actually ran Blender with that open, even though I have a command that starts the terminal and then opens Blender. It's proven to be very useful. Maybe some of the use could be part of Blender's like the info window, because sometimes you get information in the terminal that you don't otherwise get. The thing is, this terminal, for example, look at this, very nice. UI panel doesn't contain PT with a prefix or suffix. This is an error coming from an add-on that I seem to have enabled, and this is telling me, hey, there is something wrong with Python. So if you're an add-on developer, you can see it. Also, if Blender gets stuck making like baking or rendering or doing something weird, this will still be updating. So at least you know why Blender is hanging. So another really big use. If we were using the info window then and Blender was frozen, you wouldn't be able to update this. But this you can update it. So there are many benefits to having this terminal command window on. There is a way on Windows where you can disable it. Maybe it could become a preference. I don't know.
I saw in Windows it was off by default, no?
Like I thought it was also off by default, but
it shows really briefly when you start Blender and then it disappears.
Come on, that is just a tiny thing, and the benefits of having it on is there way bigger than.
I mean, we would like to not need it and just do it in the info editor and make sure
it always updates.
The user interface stays responsive while it's doing a heavy task and so on. So there is like an ideal where we can get rid of it, but it, at the moment it's still too useful, and we need to add a bunch of other stuff before we can.
All right, next question, number 7, I think. Any plans on improving MantaFlow gas and fluids? Yeah, right. It was just added. It was just added in the last release, so.
Yeah. I mean, Sebastian is working on, he works on it. That's most of what he's doing.
Unlocking speed and quality will be cool. Actually, it's much faster in 2.83 than it was in 2.82. There is many improvements in optimizations and stability. So it's gonna, if you haven't used it since 2.82, please download the latest from the Billboard because it's much better. And it was just added, so it's gonna be improved over time. Question number 6. Thank you for your streams. Can you give us 1 pixel width for texture painting back? Since 2.81, with the constant fall off and 1 pixel width, it still jumps to 1 to 2 pixels, but for pixel art. What?
Yeah, it's basically a bug. There's a bug report about it. I assume it will be fixed. So.
Thank you. So there is a bug report already. Question number 5. Is it planned to keep the navigate viewport gizmos displayed while the transform tools are being used?
Yes, there is. Yeah, we want that to be possible. Yeah, there are some technical limitations why they aren't, but yeah.
Next question, number 4. Will OpenVDV work on Eevee? How fast will it be?
I mean, it works with Eevee right now. How fast? It's hard to quantify, right? I mean,
is it much slower?
It has the same performance as the smoke rendering, basically. So there's ways to improve it, but at the moment, it's basically the same performance as if you were rendering like a MantaFlow smoke simulation.
Shader-wise, it's the same shader, I guess, internally.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay, so no difference in performance. Then I think Eevee volumetric seems to flicker a lot whenever the camera moves. In animation, it almost looks like waves. Well, it's volumetrics, right?
That's true. I mean, yeah, it's sort of the way the rendering algorithm for volumes in Eevee works at the moment. There are ways to do it differently. It would make sense to reevaluate like the Eevee volume rendering with the addition of the volume object, but for the moment it's just how it is.
Yeah. Even if you render out the animation, do you have those problems?
I mean, no. If you render with enough samples, it's gone. It's basically noise, but in Eevee the noise tends to look more like flickering, while in cycles it tends to look more like individual pixel noise because of the way they work. But yeah.
How would you create a cloud in Eevee? Shading on a cube or a more cloudy looking shape and then using shader nodes? It depends on the style.
Well, at the moment Eevee only supports rendering cubes for volumes basically, unless you're using an OpenVDB file. So I mean, basically you can make a cube and then you have to do like a fairly complicated shader node tree to model a cloud. I mean, once we have modifiers for the volume object, this will become way easier. But
that's a huge benefit that I didn't think about. Yeah, you can now have any shape for smoke in Eevee without a crazy shader.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an OpenVDB file that has the shape, right?
Yeah.
Once we have modifiers, you'll be able to create your own. But if you have an OpenVDB file, then you can
awesome. Do it. So next question, number 3, I think. How about launcher auto updates? I think that's something that will be great for LTS. Updating Blender every single bug fix will be a pain. So yeah, we already talked about the ways you can auto update Blender, but what about a built-in way of doing it? Is that even it's anybody ever attempted to do it? It's just I don't never seen.
I mean, we've definitely considered it. It hasn't like risen to like the top of the priority list, but you know, it makes a lot of sense to have it. So
yeah,
it's a matter of choices. Do we prioritize it over other stuff?
Or at least like maybe a quick add-on could be to just poke the server and find if there's a new update and then point people to download it again. At least that will be the first step.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Just wanted to ask if there will be any more support for GPUs added to Blender. I have an iMac Pro with the Vega 64 and it's not currently supported.
I mean, it's basically a bug either in Blender or in the Apple graphics driver, which we would treat as a bug report basically that we handle. Like there's no thing saying like we don't support this, but maybe there's some issue we need to figure out for it, basically.
Thank you. And the last question is sometimes the drivers don't add up to auto update in real time with some object types. Why does it happen? Are there any plans to do anything about it? Drivers not updating with some object types. Dependency cycle, I guess, some kind of related with the dependency graph. Should it be a bug report?
Yeah, I mean, first check if there's a dependency cycle, right? If there is one, you need to solve it somehow. If there isn't one, it's a bug.
It's a bug.
Which you can see in the console, the thing people want to remove.
Yes,
if
exactly.
there's a dependency cycle, you can see that right away.
Yeah, that's a good point. In this terminal, actually, you can see when there is a dependency cycle. They just say dependency cycle. All right, so with that covers all the questions, all of them. We even managed to talk about the new stuff. It was a pretty complete live stream today. Super happy about it. Thank you everybody for staying until the end. Thank you my guests. It's been a pleasure. First time that we do this and it actually turned out quite okay, right? We're gonna watch it later, but
quite okay.
Quite okay.
Quite okay indeed.
Quite okay. I didn't even ask you to try the VR live on the live stream.
You didn't.
Oh my god, do it. It's gonna be like how the cherry.
The cherry on top. Do you have it running?
You want cherries?
I want cherries.
Icing on the cake. Come on, you can do it.
Okay, quick cherry. Hold on.
Holy wow. Okay, that would be pretty big.
Hold on.
Amazing.
I'm gonna give you access to my screen.
Yeah, I see myself. Oh, wow. Okay, that is a classroom file.
This is the Windows mixed reality thing that I'm gonna start now. I just press the start.
Yeah. And
VR session thing.
VR session.
I guess the frame rate in the stream is horrible.
Well, yeah, I can hear the fan going on.
It's working fine. You
hear
the fan going up, and it has positional tracking and everything, so I can move around in the scene.
Positional tracking. You can
also
actually.
Eevee, I guess. Let's see Eevee.
Yeah.
There we go. There's some Eevee going on.
Holy wow! So this is Eevee.
All the fancy stuff.
Positional track.
This is Eevee in VR, yeah.
So you could walk if you had a room big enough.
Frame rate with this. Yeah, exactly. The frame rate in this. I guess you can't see it on the screen, which is why I enabled this debug thing.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. You're using a debug build, and we are streaming live, and
this is not a debug build. It's not a debug build, but the stream is probably chopping half of the stream.
Yeah.
Of the frames. But yeah, this is around.
But just the fact that we can actually do it and we can see it live, that's amazing. That's the cherry on top for an amazing live stream.
There you have your cherry.
Thank you for the cherry.
Your weekend cherry.
Our weekend cherry is here. Awesome. So, well, That's been amazing. I can see myself now here. So, all right. I hope you have a nice quarantine at home. I hope it's you have.
Turn off the fans.
Turn off the fans. Yes. Okay. So, guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm gonna head out now. I will say goodbye to you, and then I say goodbye to people. Julian, thank you for even burning your computer at the same time of streaming and VRing.
It's a studio computer, it's all right.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Julian.
You for inviting me.
Dalai, it's been a pleasure to have you over. Thank you for hanging out.
No problem. Can we plug the activity we have tomorrow, the Blender Meetup Day?
Yes. worldblendermeetupday.org. Is it? Is that the?
Which is it's a day-long activity, and because the idea is also going to be a day-long streaming, and we're going to have Celtic Hammerson at 12 at noon Amsterdam time, so Central European time.
Yeah.
From noon to 30 past noon, and then I'm going to be live right afterwards at 30 past noon, just to talk a little bit about the coordination, the development coordination, and just Q&A. So if you're interested on the development process, if you have any questions,
you're gonna talk about development.
Yeah, development or
gonna fix a bug live.
Live, dodging things like Neo in Matrix. Yes.
Awesome. Well.
So. You'll be expecting some questions tomorrow, so just be around.
What time again?
It's going to be 30 past noon.
30 past, so 12:30 Central European time. So in the UK, 11:30 in the rest of the world. You find out. Yeah. Cool. All right. So thank you, Dalai. It's been a pleasure. See you soon. Me. Feel free to drop by anytime.
Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Not physically, but... social distancing. Okay, thank you, Dalai. Brecht, Brecht? Are you there? Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Brecht, it's been amazing to have you here. It's the first time we do this. Actually, we work in the same place, and we never really got you in the live stream. But
yeah,
I think we should do it more often there at work. Thank you for the showing up short notice. And telling us all about the new object types and all the new exciting cycles development coming up. All right, thank you, and I we'll see next. I don't know when next live stream. Maybe it would be nice to catch up again, or we see you at work.
All right.
Online. Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that is just me right now. What about multi-resolution? It's already in Blender. It was added, and it's I mentioned it in the recap video 95. You should check it out. I mentioned that subdivision, apply base, and another one. It's working. The only thing that is not working right now is the ability to sculpt in different levels of multi-resolution. You can only sculpt in the highest level at the moment due to a bug in the undo system, which is being worked on. So patience, it's gonna come. All right, that is all. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been another Blender every day here, and let's do it again sometime. Follow Blender, the official Blender channels on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, especially here. And remember, if wearing headphones, the alert for 5, 3, 2, 4, 11. All right, thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure. See you again soon. Bye-bye.